So, hi. So, we just want an introduction of yourself. We don't know much about you. Personally, I only see you as like the big boss, the man who owns a school. And I know your name is Jim Doherty. So, could you tell us more about your education and your professional career?
Okay. So, in reverse order, I have been working for Ermitage since January this year.
Yeah.
And before that, I did a similar job. So I was the Chief Operating Officer for a group of private schools in the UK called Loughborough Schools Foundation. We had 4 schools educating about 2,500 children. And I did that from 2012. And then prior to that, I was a British Army officer for 22 years.
You were telling me how you travel a lot. You travel to a lot of countries. So, do you have any like specific one that you enjoyed the most, or was it all just more work related?
So in my past life is the question you're sort of relating.
Yeah.
I suppose Canada. I spent quite a lot of time in Canada, in the west of Canada on the prairies, and which is a big training area that we used to train. And there's an expression that the sky is so big, and I never knew it existed. But actually, if you're stood in the Canadian prairies, where you can't see anything human as far as the eye can see, you get this amazing sense of space. So probably Canada.
Okay. Do you have so you've mentioned working for the army, but does that leave any room for hobbies or like activities that you enjoy other than working?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love music. So I'm an amateur musician. I play the guitar, I play the trumpet. Not very well in either case, but I love listening to music. I like art, so I paint. Again, not very well, but I like watercolours and oil, and sport. And sport's always been a real sort of constant for me. I played rugby and tennis were my 2 main sports when I was younger. And now I still run, I swim, I bike ride, I love hill walking. Some people, my wife would struggle to, when my wife retires, she'll have a nightmare because she won't know what to do with herself, but I could fill my days with activities quite easily, quite happily if I didn't have to work.
I've heard about, you were saying like a bunch of facts that you know the trumpet, you played rugby, you went swimming, but is there anything else you can talk about, any other fun facts?
Any fun facts?
Yeah, fun facts.
I can't think of ones that are polite and not embarrassing.
Why was EIM selected as to be a part of Ermitage, not any other international school in Brussels?
Okay, really good question. The main reason was that we think that Ermitage and Montgomery share a lot of the same DNA. So, and that DNA is internationalism. And you see it as I walk around your classes today. I don't know how many different nationalities were in each class, but almost every student was from a different country. I think we share the same values as Ermitage, and when I come here, I see kindness, I see caring, I see people looking out for each other. I see the way that staff interact with students. I see the way staff interact with each other, and I see the way students interact with each other. So the answer is that you are very similar to Ermitage. You share the same values, a similar culture. And that made it a great match.
So us students, in different international schools in Belgium, there's sometimes competitions with other schools and schools that are part of the same group. Now that EIM is part of Ermitage, would that mean that we now have inter-school competitions like sports competitions or reading competitions?
That's the plan. Yeah, absolutely. So you're not aware of it yet, but in May next year, we have rented the sports stadium, Maison Lafitte, and the plan is to invite either the whole school, but I'm not sure we'll get the whole school there, or certainly a large number of students to come, and we're doing the same at a school in the south of France, Saint-Victor International School, and it's basically be a celebration of the Olympics, and so it's something we're planning now. But equally, we'd also like to see other competitions, and it's broader than competitions. The whole point was to offer opportunities, be those exchanges, be those competitions, be those just learning experiences, and that, of course, is one of the advantages of being part of the group.
Yeah. Well, if you do have any future plans for like EIM as a whole, well, will they impact the students at all and their learning when it comes to the hobby related?
Only in a positive way,
Yeah.
and we don't.
I hope so.
Yeah, no, only there was. I mean, when I spoke to parents in September, and I stood and met many of. I don't know whether your parents were there, but I stood in front of many of our parents, and a key question that they asked was, "What are your plans, and is there going to be a change in strategic direction?" And it was quite easy because my answer was no. There's no plans to change. Ultimately, what Montgomery is doing, you're very successful. Your examination results are good. So there are things that being part of the group will be able to share that best practice with you, and we've got more resources. And I'm not just talking about financial resources, but we've got expertise as well. So there are no great. There's no great ideas to change anything strategically, but where we can make small improvements, we will do.
Because I was there at the introduction night, and most of the parents were very concerned about the class sizes and how there's been an increasing amount of students coming into the school, and therefore bigger classes when they've specifically picked EIM for a smaller class.
Yeah.
So I know you're not really Miss Branson, but sorry, I'm trying to formulate this correctly. But should the parents be concerned about class sizes and
you formulated that really well.
Yeah.
No, and again, when I spoke to parents, my response was ultimately the class size is the responsibility, a decision that Miss Franzen will make. We will not, or I won't impose any particular class sizes. And there was two parts to the question I think that parents asked. There was a question of the size of the number of students in the school, and then there was a question about the number of students in any particular class, and there's two big different issues. And I was quite clear with parents that I felt that the school was too small in its total number of students. And you asked about sort of competitions earlier. It's really difficult to put a sports team together when you only have 20 kids in a year group. So a bigger school creates more opportunities. It creates more opportunities to sport. It creates more opportunities to extracurricular, to music, to drama. It allows for more subject choices, and it creates more resilience because actually you've got more staff, which means that actually there's just more people to do more with the school. So I think, and there's always a balance between what constitutes a big school and actually, and what's a small school. And a small school, of course, comes with community. Everybody knows everybody's names, and you don't want to lose that because that's one of the things that makes Montgomery special. At the same time, it needs to be big enough to have all those advantages that we just talked about. And I look at statistics as to why people choose a school or why people perhaps don't choose a school. There are as many people that don't choose a small school because they state the class sizes are too small, as those that choose it because the class sizes are small. So, there is always a balance between being too small and too big, and I don't know what the number is. For me, the background I come from, our primary classes never went above 18. Our middle school classes never went above 24. And then by the time you got to A level, you were back down to classes maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 because you were in different subjects. So there is no plan to increase class sizes.
Well, yeah, I suppose I'm very satisfied with everything you said. Unless you have any other questions, I'm very happy. But I have one more question for you, just to conclude it Well, do you have any personal advice to give to students? For going towards like I suppose especially like the DPs when they're doing all their
I probably do actually. There's very little I regret in my life doing. Okay, there's very little I regret having done in my life, but the things I really regret are the things I haven't done. So I suppose my message to you is every opportunity you get, whether it's academic, it's sport, it's travel, it's take every opportunity, and with that take risk. I don't mean to run across motorways and things I'm talking about, but take risk, do things that you're not sure whether you're going to achieve, and don't be afraid of failing. And a fun fact, you asked me for a fun fact earlier. Okay, so I'm not sure it's a fun fact, but I was a paratrooper.
Yeah.
And I was a mountaineer. So I was an Arctic mountain warfare specialist and a paratrooper, and I'm scared of heights. and every time I was hanging off a rope or jumping out of a plane, I wished I was somewhere else. I did 20 years doing that. So maybe that's about taking opportunities.
Yeah, that was a fun fact.
Thank you so much for asking me those questions. Some of them were quite difficult, but I hope I've given you some reasonable answers.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.